Good morning, everybody on YouTube. It's your buddy Choppadon coming at you with another episode of Chop Talk brought to you by DFSArmy.com, your one-stop shop for all things daily fantasy sports from MMA to MLB to preseason NFL. We've got you covered. If you don't follow Scotty B out on Twitter for his dong detector, you need to be following him for his preseason NFL content. We're going to be locking it up next week. It's free for this week, so you need to jump in now. Go down to the comments section and follow the link and use the coupon code CHOP, C-H-O-P. Trigger that 10% discount before prices go up, because here in the next couple of, I've been told days, I keep waiting for prices to go up. So those of you that are jumping off the fence, good job. You're not going to regret it, because they're not going to be this low for another month. I promise you that. 1 month is all you're committed to when you join DFSArmy.com. So let's jump in and talk a little baseball today before I get right in chin music. I wanted to get this video out to you, and we're going to start inside the research station. We're going to run through the process again that keeps putting us on these hitters. And what we're going to do is we keep going. We're going to formulate thoughts. What do we see? Do we see a lot of position depth? Do we see a lot of pitching depth? Do we see places where we can maybe be searching for value versus having to pay up because there's just nobody available at the position? And I'm going to show you a little bit of a trick today when we get to the batters. We start with the starting pitchers, and as always, it's default sorted by DFSA grade. We can see Tanaka, Wheeler, Eovaldi, Bieber, Snell, Cole. These guys are all in the good spots, but we're going to sort by K percentage. We're going to bring the strikeout boys to the top, because what we want in DFS is we want the potential to score a lot of points, and you're not going to get that without a lot of strikeouts. So you need to focus on who strikes batters out. Sometimes you can focus on swinging strike percentage for an idea of breaking ties. You get a couple of guys with a 500K score. Maybe you opt for the guy with the better swinging strike percentage, because he's obviously missing bats more than the other guys. So looking down here, I'm looking at these pitchers shuffle up a little bit: Peralta, Cole, Maeda, whatever. This is the general list that I order people in when I start listing my names. And what I'm looking for is price gaps. Peralta's priced up on DK versus Fanduel. Priced up is Cole. Priced down a little is Maeda. 7, pretty even across the board. Obviously, this number is reflected by pitching in Coors Field. This number comes down for John Gray. Comes up for Tanaka. He's in probably a decent spot. Snell down for Pena. Up a little bit for Eovaldi, in a pretty good spot. Down for Rodon. Down. You come down here, Zach Wheeler's maybe a little bit overpriced for his potential tonight. I see what they're doing. They're picking on Miami, so that's fine. It's just a general overlook at the general pitching matchups as we go. And what we're going to sort down to, what I sorted myself down to anyway, was a list of Peralta, Cole, Maeda, Tanaka, Eovaldi, and Bieber down here at the bottom, one of the cheaper guy. So we add up these K scores. We've got Peralta at a 536, Cole at a 479, Maeda 504, Tanaka 508, Eovaldi 479, and Bieber 477. I'm looking for the best combination of price, Vegas odds, and K score. So let's come over here and show you the Vegas odds. Minus 215, minus 200, minus 190. These are the guys I'm going to be focused on. It's not a shock. I want Vegas backing my decisions. I want Vegas telling me that they spend a whole lot more money and resources on getting these lines right. It doesn't matter the exact number, but a minus 200 is more certain than a minus 115. That's telling me that the experts feel that that team is going to win the game more handily. And when the team is supposed to win the game, I've got better chance at my starting pitchers getting the victory, and that's all I'm wanting, along with a pile of strikeouts. So if I started at the top priced guy here in Garrett Cole, I'm looking at a minus 215 out of Vegas and a 479 K score. The 479 is okay. It's not great, especially for somebody like a Garrett Cole. So I need to see if I can beat that. If I step down a little bit in price, let's say I come down to the next highest guy, which would be Tanaka on my list. The guys that I saw automatically picking, kind of sticking their heads up to me to roster today. And I look at Tanaka and I see a minus 205 in Vegas, so not much worse than the 215, obviously, and a 508 instead of a 479 K score. So I'm going to be on Tanaka before I'm on Garrett Cole tonight. And I don't like facing Texas so much, but you always got to take a little bit of risk when you do things. You get a 95 DFSA grade as opposed to what was Cole in 84. So the 95 versus 84 tells me that our matchup meter here inside DFS Army likes him a little bit more as well. So Tanaka's probably my lead pitcher on the slate. I look down a little bit cheaper to Eovaldi, and we'll see if Eovaldi's in a better spot Then Tanaka, he's got a minus 190, so a little bit less, but that's okay because we're paying what, $700 less, $900 less. And I'm looking at a 479 K score, which is up there with Garrett Cole. So an 86 rating facing Baltimore. We don't mind picking on Baltimore. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Between Garrett Cole at 10.5 and Eovaldi at 8.7, you've got a minus 215 for Cole and minus 190 for Eovaldi. That's almost a wash. You got the 479 K score, which is exactly tied. So I would take the money. I'd take the $2,000 savings and roster Eovaldi over Garrett Cole. So if I had to list a number 2, it might be Eovaldi. I want to get up to Garrett Cole because I want to pay up for pitching, because I want to pay for the stability, and I want to pay for the consistency. But honestly, right now, it's making more sense to take the money and run. So when I look down a little bit deeper at Freddie Peralta, up on the list anyway, up on the chart, down in price, minus 110 out of Vegas is not very good. It's kind of a 50-50. The 536 K score, though, 33% strikeout and the 20.5. Atlanta doesn't strike out a lot, but the 33% tells me Peralta really misses bats. 536 K scores lead on the slate, 81 rating overall. Not terrible, but for the price, I might take the 190 out of Vegas and take Eovaldi over Peralta. I could opt for K-score if I'm really after strikeouts too. The either way is kind of fine. Those two are kind of a toss-up. And then maybe we get down to Garrett Cole. Although when we look at Shane Bieber at 7,800, we've got a minus 140, which is also solid, a 477 K-score, which is up there with the 479s, 85 overall rating. 7,800 is cheap. So Bieber's going to be a little more up and down, up and down, up and down, but he's in a good spot tonight. He's in as good a spot as these other guys. So what you might break the tie with K-score and upside potential. You might break the score with game logs and consistency. A guy going 32, 27, 32 as opposed to a guy going 18, 54, 22, something like that. You're looking for the consistency in your cash games and in your league type play. You're looking to take a little bit of risk and go for the ceiling in the big GPPs, which is why you might take a shot at a Bieber or somebody because he's got the upside to really get you over the hump. Maeda and Coors is not a real thrill for me at a minus 115. 7,100 is pretty cheap. That's okay. I don't know if I want the $1,500 off of Eovaldi or, well, the 2,500 off Tanaka's nice. And I've got what, a 504 K score. You bet you're attacking Colorado at home in their wheelhouse. That's a ballsy play. And Maeda's a pretty good pitcher, pretty consistent pitcher, but it's a little risky attacking. I always caution against attacking pitchers in Colorado and Arizona. That's your pitching roundup. What you're going to end up doing when you're looking at pitchers, you're also going to start at your bats. You're starting attacking with bats in this area as well, because we're going to reverse the DFSA grid, and now we're going to come down to about the 40 mark. We're going to come down to say DeSclafani, whatever, however you pronounce his name, say it 5 times fast. Nix, Hellickson, Anderson, Zimmerman, Holland, Buchholz. This is star 1 when I'm rating a 3-star offense. So Philly, Chicago, LA, Minnesota, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, maybe Arizona are your star 1 offenses. Now it gets a little bit more complicated because we're going to slide over here to Vegas. And we're going to go to the opposing implied runs, sort by descending order, and we're going to pull all the high implied run totals to the top. We're going to come down here again to like the 4.8. So let's mark up, well, Leak should be in that crowd. But we're going to mark down to Buchholz. Leak gives me Houston. So I'll make a little note there myself because I don't like the way Mike Leake throws the ball. New York, LA, Boston, Colorado, St. Louis, Arizona, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Houston. These are your star 2 offenses. If they're also on the star 1 list, they become a star 2 offense. So that would end up being, St. Louis, Arizona, Cincinnati. Well, I didn't say St. Louis yet. St. Louis is on the next list. But Arizona, Cincinnati are so far your 2-star offenses. Then we come over here to perhaps my favorite way to look at things and grab this WOBA by right-handers and sort it descending and bring all these to the top. We're going to go double red here. All of these red guys down to about, say, this 307 mark. Anything above this on the left-handed side that's pink. Bang, 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 bang. So about 6 guys. Hellickson, Pena, Smith, Gaussman, Jordan, and Anderson. So when I scroll over, and the reason why I say this is if you haven't caught me before, is because I'm looking at guys who can't get out either side of the plate, right-handers or left-handers, because that's what generally gets the rallies going, gets the 4 and 5 run innings going, because he doesn't if he handles left-handers and he can just make it past a couple of right-handers with a guy on base or two guys on, just get past those guys without getting too much damage, he can stop the bleeding with a lefty because he can get it out or get a double play or something like that. When he struggles against both sides, he's not getting anybody out, and that's the kind of pitcher we want to target. So when I said Hellickson, well, let's take a look. LA was on the list. Minnesota was on the list. Milwaukee, St. Louis on the list. And then Oakland and Chicago were also on that list. Those are the bats that make up that third star. There are no technical three-star offenses tonight. There's nobody that hits all three lists. But there are several that hit two of the list, and that's Arizona, Cincinnati, Chicago, Minnesota, LA, and St. Louis. And that's a very, very odd thing for me because I don't see any of the power offenses in there. No Yankees. I didn't see Cubs. I saw them on one list. I don't see Boston. I don't see, Oakland's been good this year. I don't see a lot of those bigger Houston, real powerhouse type offenses that are always scoring runs. I don't see them on this list. That makes me nervous for tonight because those offenses are kind of always in play. They may be facing a little bit tougher pitching. The softer pitching looks like it's going against some of the softer offenses. That may open up this slate and make it another wide open slate. I would be focused on the smaller slates that start at 8, 8:15, and the 10 o'clock type slates would be where I would be focused tonight because that's way too wide open for me to try and tackle 13, 14, 15 games. I think it's a complete crapshoot. Anybody that sits there and tells you that they're trying to, get an edge on the field because there are more options for people to make mistakes and whatnot, and I used to be one of those guys, I don't think they know what they're talking about right now because I think that your edge is also on those small slates because you can target research like this and figure out exactly why those pitchers are bad and get into the correct offenses, and you don't have as many mistakes to make because you've got 6 offenses to choose from and you're going to pick the best 2 or 3. And on those nights where you pick those best 2 or 3, you will see plenty of people in the other 2 or 3 offenses, and that's a bigger edge for you on a smaller slate than it is on a bigger slate where they've got more offenses to choose from and might be right. When they're on the smaller slates and they choose wrong, they're definitely wrong. And baseball is still volatile. You hear me say round bat, round ball all the time. Baseball is still volatile. And sometimes they get lucky and they are right, but they're going to be wrong more often when they make those bad decisions. Those bad decisions get magnified on those small slates. Now, more people end up on the good decisions too because there are fewer options to choose from. But I believe your edge is magnified on the small slates now. That's just me. That's from playing them all year. I was one of those guys that was listening to everybody else that was saying bigger slates for more experienced people and blah, 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 blah. And I came over to the small slates this year and I'm finding that the big guys aren't there because the GPPs aren't the same size. And the more recreational players over here, which gives me a bigger edge. Plus, when they make those mistakes, they're magnified because they didn't have as many choices that were correct and they missed. And that magnifies my edge even more. I'm finding a bigger edge over here. That's why I'm telling all of my newer players, get over here on the small slates, less info to process. That's the kind of coaching you get inside DFS Army. So again, you got to get down into that comment section, click that link, come in and talk to me over the course of a couple of weeks. You'll pull this information out of me, and I'm happy to share it. And if you want to just talk back and forth with DFS and different sports and stuff, that's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here to do, is make your game fundamentally sound and make you a better player. So kicking over into the trends tab and finishing off those bats, we sort over here by L7 WOBA. What is that? That's the last 7 days. That's the WOBA he's hitting for over the last 7 days. You could use OPS. You can use a lot of different numbers. I just use WOBA because it's what our research station offers. If I scroll over a little bit, I can show you ISO, hard contact. Those numbers are more for VIPs. I keep to the WOBA numbers. And I'm going to start with our biggest offense of the night, Arizona, or one of our biggest. He's a 2-star offense. It's not phenomenal. But these are your playable guys hitting over a 350. And look at the team numbers are down into the 300s again. They used to be all in the 400s. They're cooling off just a smidge. So you might want to temper your expectations just a touch. They may be on a little bit of a downward trend. Avila, Peralta, Escobar, Marte, Goldschmidt, Souza, Ahmed, those are your playables. Those are the guys that should be in your stack for the most part. You want to take another guy or two, leave them as a one-off, but use most of your stack. If you 4-stacked, use 2 or 3 of these guys and then use a one-off. Use 2 of these guys and then use a one-off. Don't go loading up 2 or 3 guys that are not on this list. You'll be disappointed most of the time. Come over to Cincinnati. Not a big list. Votto, Suarez, and Irvin. Use these 3 guys as your stack and then filter in some of those other guys. I come over to Chicago. Chicago's a two-star offense. It's one of the bigger offenses we've found. Rizzo, Zobrist, Lastea, if he starts, Baez, Bode. Look, if you take a look at Bode, 491. He had a good game a couple of games ago. Not many people started him. I had him at very low ownership, like 8% or something, pretty low on a small slate. And the reason why is nobody knows his name because he's only 2,800, and they're not seeing this number right here. He popped into the order, third or fifth or something, ripped the cover off the ball for a game, got me a lot of points and a lot of leverage on the field in cash. He's cash safe at a 500 WOBA at 2,800. There's no risk in that guy. Use him to complete your stacks, and if he does the damage, everybody else is going to be looking at you like, how'd you know about that guy? Well, because I have access to the research station at DFS Army. Minnesota, Kepler, Sano, Forsythe. Notice that Kepler and Sano are on this list. Kepler's been on it all year, it feels like, at 2,300. You know, you're not seeing a lot of the other guys that you're used to seeing or that you know are on the team because they're just not hitting very well. That's why Minnesota's a lackluster offense. But Kepler and Sano as one-offs or a little too mini stack, not bad. Not a bad play at all. Come out to the LA Angels. Simmons back on the list. Good for him. Calhoun stayed on the list. Brisseno, whatever his name is. Only 26 at bats, but if he gets the start, he'd be a nice little sneaky one to pop in there. Ohtani, Coward's the same with no. And EY's a left-handed masher, and look, we're facing a lefty today. So if you see him in the lineup at 2,400, you're going to be really tempted to run EY. God, cheap stack if Coward gets a start somehow. EY, Coward. And, you know, even Calhoun's pretty cheap or Simmons is pretty cheap. These are your great ones. It's not that Trout's not a great play. He is. It's that if you stack him with Simmons, Ohtani, and EY, you've got a hell of a stack. You know, Pujols, same bit. But I wouldn't stack Pujols and Trout in the same lineup necessarily. I'd stack 2 or 3 of these guys and run Pujols in there with them and then stack 2 or 3 in another lineup and then stack Trout with them. That's how I play this game. And when I look at St. Louis's offense to round us out here, Carpenter, DeYoung, Ozuna, Wong, Munoz. If Munoz gets the at-bats, he's getting them again, it looks like, because Wong's been sitting out at second base, but Wong has been back. And it's not that these guys are great hitters. It's that they're dirt cheap, and they complete the stack for you. Okay, that's what you're hearing me talk about today. Let's take a look really quick at the value, the way that we search for value. If you do want to run a Garrett Cole, I don't think you need it today. I'm going to take the WOBA number and I'm going to jack it all the way up. All the way to 400. Then I'll go ahead and leave these plate appearances in. I'm going to take them out if I post anything on Twitter. And I'm going to take the salary on Fanduel and I'm going to sort it down here by less than 3,000. Anything under 3,000 is a pretty good value play on Fanduel. So I'm going to kick all of those guys out of there. See all these guys that are all under 3,000 now? And they're all running hot. This is your value list. All of these guys. And you can look for little stacks. There's in Minnesota, a couple of Minnesotas, a couple of other teams that you're going to find in here, a couple of Seattles, whatever. Seattle's not in a great spot against Garrett Cole, so you've got to use this wisely. But these are all guys that you can run. And the list goes on and on and on. A lot of them are spot starters. You see a lot of 8 at-bat, 25 at-bat samples. If you really want to kick this thing out of here, you sort by greater than, say, 35 at-bats and watch this list disappear. These are your probable starters. It's about 5 of them. I don't like seeing the Seattle guys in there. What, going against Eflin? Okay, so that's not terrible for San Diego. Might use Villanueva as a one-off. Boy, he's got some pop. And look at his L7 WOBA, 540. He's been hitting the ball well the last 7 games he's played. Holland and Snell are not awesome pitchers, so they're fine to attack with one-offs. We may not be on the offense with Adam Frazier or Devon Travis, but we can be on the player. You know, run yourself a LA and a Minnesota stack with a one-off of Adam Frazier. You get Garrett Cole easily if you're sold on the consistency of a Garrett Cole. So these are just a few of the ways that we're going. And I forgot the tip that I was going to share with you earlier today. I apologize. If I think about it again, I'll dump it into another video. But again, I just wanted to break this slate down, let you know I'd be focused on these smaller slates for the reason that I mentioned. I would also be looking at value bats today, and I'd be focused on high WOBAs because those are your hot bats. This is how I play the game. If this is teaching you, which we're getting testimonials all the time inside Slack, guys are direct messaging me saying that I'm putting them on a process every day, the same process, and it's working. If this is the kind of consistency that you need to implement into your game, you need to become a DFS Army member. It's that simple. DFSArmy.com, coupon code CHOP, C-H-O-P. It's Friday. It's also very early in the morning. I have stuff to do today, so I got on this video right away. I apologize. I'm not as energetic as I usually am, but you know, it is what it is. I'm going to go drink some coffee now. I'm going to start cracking into some research and dropping chin music. Hopefully, while this video uploads, you guys will see it out there this weekend, and hopefully, you guys scoop up a lot of money. Take care.